I'm Gvanni D'Antonio, and I'm 12 years old. I've been in car racing for a little over a year. Got interested in kart racing when we were in snowcross. It was getting too dangerous to move up, so we were at an IndyCar race, and one of the guys was selling go-karts, so we sat in it, and we liked it, so we got a go-kart, and then we started practicing it, and we got the guy that we bought it from, he helped us, and then we just moved to different tracks. Yeah, I get a little nervous. I like that it's constantly going, and there's no it doesn't get boring, it's always adrenaline pumping through the whole entire race. Well, I raced snowcross, so I kind of had a little experience with it, but not much, so not good very, I didn't know how to hit a corner, where to brake at. I'm probably average. I feel like I could definitely be a lot better. Cause I'm not passing. It takes me a little bit to get the move. Don't know how to line it up perfectly, and I need better skills at it, and I need more time.
So practice, right? Practice is what gets you there. How many hours a day you think you practice in this sport?
On a regular day, 1 hour at least.
Okay. And you're going to show us your simulator today, right?
Yeah.
And that's where you practice on for the 1 hour?
Yes.
Well, when we first met down in the Carolinas, you were telling me that, this is just like being an athlete, and that you have to work out. What kind of exercises you do? And tell us the purpose of it.
I curl my arms with 15-pound weights, so I can in longer duration races, my arms won't get as tired as fast. I do sit-ups for my abs and my arms. Mostly my arms. Try to get 10 to 15 each time I work out. And I do lower pounds and go higher. And my sides and my neck, because those are the most parts of my body I use for long racing sessions. I'm getting pushed around in the seat, so my back needs to have strength, because it also helps me in the cart while I'm doing other turning and just driving.
How fast do you think you guys go?
On the normal layout with the long straightaway, I hit 70. So, In the corners, I usually go 30. Fast corners, probably like 40. I can't really tell like when I'm driving. It feels slower when I'm driving. Not slow, but it feels like not as fast when you're watching.
And you gotta have fast reflexes, right?
Yeah.
Well, does it get nervous like when the whole lot of cars are just zooming around you? Does that make you any nervous?
Like on the beginning of a race when everyone's like blocking and like moving all over the place, it's kind of nervous then.
So basically, this is the tent we race out of. It's RPM, Ryan Perry Motorsports, and we travel all over the country with them. And this is where we pit, and we use his track support. And then so I tune on the carts, and I basically the crew chief. So I prep the carts, make sure everything's right. Go over the engine, make sure it has the right tires, air pressure. All the components are tight, and we'll do all that work in here, and then we'll go to the garage area over there and stage wait for our turn to go, and then we'll be on track. So we'll practice about every hour today, about every hour or so, and then we race tomorrow. Harsher you can be on him, and not him get upset. To prove a point or make it happen or have them drive a certain way. But every kid's different. So it depends on their personality really, on what kind of advice you give them. You can give one kid the advice you almost yell at him, and he responds to that. You yell at Gvanni and he shut down. Like every kid's different. So there's psychology involved as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I think it's the parents usually that you have to calm down more than the kids.
So it'd be Bobby that you got.
It would be Bobby that you have to like prep before Gio.
Wow.
The prep of this started Monday. I had the whole cart completely apart, put it on a table, bin it, put a new axle in it, new steering column. So we roll up and it looks like it's just together. It's the prep that gets you good. The driver has to eat right. He has to work out. He has to prep. Like if he doesn't work out, he won't be able to hold on to the steering wheel. Like it will kick his butt. Like there's so much that goes into it. And you work hard. You work hard when people aren't watching. But that's the big.
And a lot of times we practice just to make sure everything's running right for race day. Like last summer, we were practicing. We had a brand new motor, and it kept stalling out. We changed the spark plugs. We changed this. We changed the fuel, and we thought it was something with the spark plug, because then it would run good again. We went out the last session today. It just stalled out. We came in. The piston was shot. It was a brand new race engine, so we brought in here. We had a mechanic, Mike. He said, hurry up and change the piston. Got it all ready to go. It didn't wreck the cylinder. And then the next day, we ran real well with it with the same engine. We just got it all fixed together. We had the parts right here. That's one nice thing about down here is you can buy the parts right here at the track. RPM shops right down the street. If something happened, we're ready for it.
It's not your baseball. It's not your ball and stick sport. There's a lot of prep that goes into it. A lot of money, a lot of emotion. So if a 9-year-old doesn't show up to the race, you're like, it's not a baseball game. He didn't have a bad inning. He's wasted a lot of time and money, and it's a high pressure deal. It's not the average sport. There's a lot. The parents are involved. You got tuners and coaches. And you got a lot of people involved just to make it happen. So it's getting the kid to understand what he needs to do and what is best for him is the challenging part. Really, to get everybody in sync on the same page. So the max RPM is 14,764. The max speed was 68 miles an hour. The max temperature of the engine was 1,073, and those are his lap times. His best lap time was a 50:03, and then a 50:30, and a 50:34. And it has all the readouts for each lap. So his lap 8 was his best, lap 10 was his second best, and lap 6 was third. So that records, now that downloads to a computer. So then we look at the data with the driver, and he says, "No, I'm full throttle right there." And you go, "Oh, no, you're not. It says right here on the data you lifted." So that's, yep, that's technology. It's a little F1 car is what it is. All right. It's the only thing comparable G-force wise to horsepower and weight ratio is a Formula One car and a go-kart. Yeah. It's the closest thing to it. The amount of G's you pull in this thing is pretty incredible. Like 4.5 G's. Yeah.
I'm taking you to the trophy room where I store all my trophies from races. Yeah, that's my dad's. This was my first race suit when I started. It just got too small, so we couldn't use it anymore. This right here, I was driving and this guy hit him and he hit me. That was on ice, so there was like studs on the track. And then that's my dad's, and this was me when I won a national. And then this right here is the national tour. I took third. And then this right here, I won a bottle of grape juice because I won the state championship. And then this is these guys helped me out win races with my motor. I was on their thing because I won. And then this is when I won a big race in Eagle River. I won a big trophy that was taller than me. I won a couple of state championships up here. And then this is a fourth place actually, in a national circuit. This is first, fourth, second, first, fourth, fifth, fourth. And then these up here are world championship, like an official one at Eagle River. I won 3 world championships, more nationals, and this is the one I won.
You're taller than it now.
Yeah. And then this one down here, I was super close to getting first, but I lost to a girl. And then these are all ice and one of my old hats. And then all of these are all winnings or top 3. And then 3 state championships. I took a second in one. And then this is go-karts at Road America where I first got into it. And then I took third in my mini Swift class. And this was the last race, my last national I won, which took me 3 years to win. Right here, this was in our newspaper in town when I won 3 world champions at 7 years old. These are just at ERX, which is another snowcross track. And then a champion in this. And then I took a third in the World Championship. And then Fire on the Ice, 2 Fire on the Ices, which is a track inside a ice oval track. And then this Red Bull drink is a Rookie of the Year award when I first started. And then over here, that was my first podium ever. I took second. And these 2 were supposed to be race ones, but they were just too slow.
Too slow for you?
Yeah, they're electric, so they were more heavy. I won New York with this sled right here. Then that green one, that motor went onto my go-kart over there. This go-kart I use for racing up in by where I live. I used to race this in North Carolina, but we just got a new one, so we didn't need it.
Here's the office where it all happens at right here in my office.
Okay.
Some pictures of Gvanni when he won the world championship. That's a picture of my dad. We actually still have this car in our warehouse. That was him in 1956, I believe. 2014, we still have the same car. It's still in our warehouse. He had it since he was like 17 years old. There's Greg and Gvanni. Kim Kardashian, we met her at a race. This picture of Gvanni when he won the world championship. Newspaper article of my dad right there when he won a race years ago in Ironwood Fairgrounds, Ironwood, Michigan here, Hurley, Wisconsin. He won the world championship in Eagle River 3 years in a row. Back in 1968, driving a Skidoo. It's just one of our offices. Call our tag and title office where we do a lot of registering. And we were down there when remember I told you we met Jeff Gordon. This was actually a newspaper article of when Dale Earnhardt got killed that same weekend. We happened to be down there. I just kept it, cut it out, had it framed when we were down there when it was in the Charlotte Daily Press. Here's our main car lot. You see we sell a lot of trucks, a lot of SUVs, a lot of work trucks. I'll show you up in our shop. We have a Plymouth Superbird up there, which is pretty rare.
Got a lot of inventory.
Yeah. Need to sell something every day. Guys just went to lunch. Oops. So we detail all our cars at, get them ready for the car lot. There's a Plymouth Superbird that we're getting ready to sell. Getting it all serviced. They only made 1,000 of them. It's kind of a neat car.
Wow.
Came out of North Carolina. Just getting ready to go. Not many left like that.
God. And one input, and start off slow. Don't rush it because it'll be harder if you just like try to go full speed in each corner. You want every time you go on a lap, if you try to go fast in the corner, and if you just keep on sliding, try to just go a little bit slower. And when you're driving, look for one input on the wheel and one gas on the wheel. Because if you turn in too early, you're gonna hit the curb and that slows you down. Or even probably spins you out. But if you turn in too late, you're gonna slide, because in real life there's gonna be rubber which slows, it makes you slide. So, it's kind of hard because I'm not used to doing it.
You said the simulator is harder than the actual car?
Yeah, it makes it more sensitive so you can train. And when you're in the car, it feels easier.
I think it's very hard to put them in the
So I was thinking, really, I've got to defend, because I had a great start. I overtook a few karts, but once I got past the hairpin, which is a tight corner, I got a bad exit. So somebody had come up on the inside of me in the corner. In my peripheral vision, they were far enough back that I couldn't really see them. So I turned left for a slight corner, and my rear left wheel hit his front right tire. When two tires collide and open wheel racing, somebody is going to flip. And unluckily, that was me. Thankfully, in the karts, there are no seatbelts, because if, on the off chance that you do flip, a seatbelt would hold you in the cart and could damage your neck, even with the neck brace on.
We were in a different time zone, so it had all happened. We knew everything was okay by the time we woke up in Asia when he had this last accident. My other son and I we were traveling. So that was, it was okay. I knew he was fine because so many hours had passed. With the first accident, I was that's it. We're not doing this anymore. The price is too high. I haven't even watched the GoPro footage. I don't want to see it. I don't think I'll ever see it, because if I do, he's not continuing his sport anymore. At the same time, I see how passionate he is about it and all the good things it brings. And I even spoke with the hospital staff, saying how well protected he was with the safety protection he has, and they see all sorts in basketball and obviously American football that and soccer, or just going on the trampoline. But neither of that really matters when something happens to your own son. as you could probably understand.
When Gvanni was in snowcross racing, he was in, it wasn't a bad accident, but he was battling with another snowmobile and he flipped over, and there were snowmobiles zipping by him and his machine was on him. And the kid he was battling with, his parents had it, they were recording it, and they're like, "Do you want to see it?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to see it."
I am a Grant. Well, wait, no. Probably USPKS, where I won everything. Probably my first win at Go, like here.
Your first one?
Here, yeah.
Here?
Yeah. When both of us got to snowmobile and I was at his house. Wasn't much snow. Parker.
You sure?
I've been racing longer, so I have an advantage. I play soccer and I like play with sometimes I play football. I used to do football. Yeah, and I like basketball. Pretty fun. 6.
Okay.
Well, like normally we would go on our racing sims and go on that track and practice like knowing where the turns are, knowing how to get on and off, and hand control.
Well, the thing that surprised me the most was how technical it was. At first I thought you just go around laps, turn the wheel a little bit, gas, brake. But once you dive in, it's really technical because you're going with tenths and hundredths of a second. And you've got to make sure the brake pressure's right. The chassis is not bent whatsoever. You've got to make sure your steering wheel inputs are to the perfect millimeter so you don't lose any time. And also when you get off the track, you have to do telemetry data, which is how quick you're going through the corners, where you can improve. And you can also do video work, which is where you record yourself driving on a GoPro, say, and you watch that over. A coach or yourself can look over it and you can see what you have to do better on. And it may be the smallest thing, but it can gain you a tenth of a second, which may win you a race.
I work for Hendrick Motorsports. Just recently came off the road as a crew chief. Now I still crew chief, but only part-time for the Xfinity Series. And also help Gvanni and Parker try to chase their dreams of becoming race car drivers.
For Parker, it is a family affair. So I had to kind of take Parker and get him to the track because my husband was on the road. So if we wanted to compete and grow Parker, I had to know what I was doing and get him to the track. Now that my husband isn't traveling anymore, he's here. But since I already kind of started it, I'm Parker's comfort. I kind of know the run of show, having been to some of the national tracks, and where do you pick up the motor, where's registration, and just the process that you need to go to when you show up at the track. That's always been me, so it's kind of easier just to keep it that way. We do have 2 daughters that don't participate in racing and could care less about racing. It does not interest them. They don't really want to be at the track most of the time. So they come, but they don't love it. But yeah, it kind of has to be a family affair because racing just requires a lot of sacrifice. Whether the girls are participating or coming to the racetrack, they're sacrificing time with me, time with their dad, or just in general, time away from home, time out of school, traveling. They're participating whether they like it or not. And for us is definitely the relationships that you develop. So when you're traveling every weekend, like in NASCAR, or I mean, we're really just traveling maybe 2 weekends a month or karting. But when you're in the same place with the same competitors, I mean, in Parker, the people that he raced against last year, he's still racing against this year, and he will race against those kids for as long as he is racing. So to be able to develop a relationship with them in a spirit of competition, like we are trying to beat them. But when we get out of the cart, we are still able to like, hey, good run, like cheer them on, good win, like good competition. Yeah, and, you know, like trying to develop a sport, like an air of sportsmanship. Like, yeah, I want Parker to win every time, and I will get on him about not winning, or especially when I know he's not doing his best. Like sometimes it's not all about the winning. It's he didn't do his best, and I know it, and I'm disappointed in that, because we don't come here at 50%. We come here to do 100% of the time, which is a lot to ask of a 9-year-old boy or an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old boy. Exactly. Right? But that is what it is. So yeah, I think definitely the relationships developed at a racetrack are probably stronger than most. I mean, I'm not obviously involved in any other sport, but having been on a dirt side of things and the karting side of things, and some of our best friends came out of NASCAR relationships. Yeah, it's the best part.
We were racing snowmobiles with Gvanni, and he pretty much ran real well. I don't want to say he dominated, but he was either first, second, or third in just about everything he was racing in. And he was aging out of the smaller size snowmobiles, and his next step would have been full-size snowmobiles. At the time, he was probably 70, 75 pounds. We'd go to the races and we'd watch these young kids in the class that he would have been racing in every week get carted off in the ambulance. He had a 75-pound kid racing a 450-pound sled. I said, Bob, this really isn't the path we want to take with the kid. It's not safe. You're going to break him. He'll run fine. He'll race fine, but the risk reward just isn't there.
When it adds all up, it gets like pretty slow, and it like adds a lot of time to your lap. I practice my like foot, like you want one brake and one throttle in the corner, because when you like keep hitting the throttle, it like upsets the cart and you slide. But if you're braking while you're turning, it spins you out. On the throttle too early, you lose all of it and you slide. But if you get on it perfect, it's smooth.
Well, the very first challenge I faced, actually, when we went outdoors to OVRP, a proper track, was just finding the courage within myself to, go quick. I was afraid of the bumps and how quick you had to go to actually be competitive. But once my coach at the time, Rafe, had given me some words of inspiration and helped me get over that bump, I managed to progress very quickly and, get over the fear and enjoy racing a lot more. So the dynamic is a very team-like dynamic, like you would have on a soccer team or a football team. You want to do better than your teammates, of course, but they're still your friends off track. You get along with them, you have fun with them. Not everything's so serious. But once you get on the track, the gloves really come off because it's really raw racing at that point.
Young will crack the top 5. Ernesto Rivera to go to 4th. Enzo BJR MDR LN kart.
I went to Michigan Tech, got my engineering degree, bachelor's of mechanical engineering. I was going to be a doctor. My dad was a mechanic, so he told me not to work too hard and get a job that, didn't require you to have to work with your hands all the time. And look at me now. Now I get to do it with my kid and working on tires and those type of things.
And I met Greg through his father and his brother. they were contractors for me when I was working, and Greg was going to Michigan State originally to be a doctor. And he needed work at the time, to help him get through college. So I set him up with our company. He worked at night unloading trucks like everybody does. He started out, and within about 2 or 3 weeks, the hub manager came over and said, well, you think Greg would take a leadership role? So they made him a shift supervisor after about 3 weeks. That's kind of potential he had. And this is at the age of 19 years old as a Michigan State student. He took the position as a night supervisor, and again the old question came up: what do you want to do? And he wanted at that time already to move toward engineering, and he transferred to Michigan Tech and took up engineering, encouragement of his father. He liked racing. He was racing at Norway Speedway. Very proficient racer, very calculated, very smooth. He did all the work on his cars. I'd help him once in a while on his car, and he'd come back and redo everything I did. So very particular about the way things were done, and it showed in his race program. Greg is probably one of the few people at Hendrick Motorsports that was able to go down, get an interview, and get hired on the spot. But you have to remember, just like when he worked with me, he was willing to work, willing to put his time in. He didn't start in a key position at Hendrick. He started cleaning parts and taking apart old race cars and doing analysis on the cars after the races, and he accelerated from that point. His big break came when Jeff Gordon was the driver to beat at NASCAR in the 24 car, and he started doing Jeff Gordon's front end setups, designing the front end, putting the suspension together, setting the front end up, and Jeff just loved the way the cars drove. So obviously Jeff, being the top driver at the time at Hendrick, had a lot of say in who did what. A few years later, as time would happen, he took on an engineering position with Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus. And that story, you hate to say the history wrote itself, but at that point, Jimmy won 7 NASCAR championships with Greg as his engineer. I was at the Barrett-Jackson car action one time, and I was talking to Rick Hendrick, who owns Hendrick Motorsports, and I asked him point blank, I says, when are you going to make Greg a crew chief? And he said, Greg will be a crew chief in 2015. Now, this was in 2012 or 13 when I talked to Mr. Hendrick. And the foresight of Rick Hendrick to see that Greg had the potential to excel as a crew chief. And sure enough, 2015, Greg became crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're at Road America, I think it was in 2014 or 13. And Greg was at the motorhome. We were talking back and forth, and I got him on the side. I says, you're going to be a crew chief in 15. And I don't know if Rick told him at that time, or if he knew at that time what his career path was, but he basically went stone ice cold and didn't know what to say. I said, well, stick with it. You're with a good team, and they're going to take care of you.
Parker is considered the kid with the silver helmet. Probably one of the few that doesn't have a painted helmet. I would say it's not necessarily by choice, but it is. You know, we like to be able to see him on the racetrack, and distinctively, you can see a lot of different colors out there. When you see one silver helmet, it's kind of easy to find where he's at. And also, it's just the expense. You know, it can cost upwards of $2,500 for a helmet that's painted. You know, 500, 600, 700, 800 for a helmet, and then you know whatever it costs to get painted. So, you know, we try to put our money into not playing basketball because he's not very good at it, I guess. Actually, he did beat me at Pigman the other day for the first time. So that was, I don't let him win at anything because so I know like on the race simulator, he's going to beat me. And you know, I gotta beat him when I can. So he did beat me in Pigman. He made some lucky shots. I think he might have had his eyes open. No, but yeah. We have a lot of fun doing it and try to spend our money wisely, and you know that allows us to do multiple things in racing. And you know, we want him to be a versatile driver, and you know, do it at a young age. And if he's good at it, then by the time he gets to that point where it really matters, we have him trained. You know, a lot of these champions are great off the track more so than they're on it. You know, they can perform at a high level. They can, you know, they perfect their craft. But, you know, guys like Jimmy Johnson and, you know, a lot of these guys who are good in their sport are also champions off the racetrack. So, you know, we try to put him in an environment with other kids, you know, try to get him to coach and teach and, you know, be a good kid, right? So, you know, it also takes on a leadership role when you try to do that. And, you know, usually right now I'm over here in the garage, but usually we're under the RPM tent, and, you know, there's a very, very wide range of kids, you know, driving from Gvanni just getting into junior karts, and, you know, Parker's somebody that they can talk to and also have a little bit of fun with afterwards. So, you know, nothing from the experience I don't think is ever going to hurt when it comes to competition, when it comes to, you know, just being a leader amongst the people.
Well, I never started racing myself until I was like 31 years old, but my father raced stock cars here in Ironwood and locally in Wisconsin and stuff. He was pretty good at it.
Well, in Ironwood there, he had the races there, and Red told me, he said, "You want to drive a fire truck?" I says, I had an old Dodge pickup we bought on auction, and he got me a fire truck sign. I still got it in my garage hanging. After the races were over, every time a car would roll over, we have to run out there with the thing. There were 3-4 guys on the back of the truck, and then we'd go after that. We'd go have a pizza, and Red would always buy us pizzas and stuff like that. They was pretty good to us, and so we liked to go. We were going down to Superior to race, and there was Bob Carlson and Bozo, he had his car, and Red, he had his car, and a few other ones. Well, Red told me, he said, "Can you pull my car down?" I said, "Sure." I says. So we went down there, and they weren't going to do much with them cars. Them cars are pretty fast, you know. But they went to try anyhow. And when the first race went around, and one car caught on fire, the guy got out and started running across, and bang, a car hit him, killed him. So we had to go home. That was it. You know.
I used to always go to watch him race when I was growing up being a kid. And I was like that when I got out of the Air Force. I bought a stock car from a friend of mine and started racing locally. I did it for 14 years, which was a lot of fun. And it was just basically a hobby. Met a lot of good people, still friends today. And then Red's Auto sponsored it, which I worked at. My dad started Red's Auto in 1973. And I worked there when I was 12 years old till I was 18. And then when I came back in 1984, I worked there ever since. And I learned how to buy cars, sell cars to my father. I detailed them since I was 12 years old. And we're fortunate enough to have a pretty successful business where it pays for today for a lot of Gvanni's go-kart racing and traveling around and whatever it takes to go. So we're fortunate in that way. And hopefully to keep it up for a while till I can sell the place and go racing with Gvanni full time at some point. But that's about where we're at with that at the moment. But it seems like, not because he's my son, but he's got some kind of talent that we just got to develop it better, you know?
Right.
He's got really good trainers. He's got really good mechanics. He's got really good engineers that help him. Greg Ives has been a really good friend of ours and a great help in the sport. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even be going down there right now. He does a lot for us. And all the people around him that help him help us also, which really makes it nice.
Right.
And we've been meeting people from all over the world. There's a lot of people from, for some reason, a lot of people from England come over there to race in Mooresville. This weekend, I met some people from Brazil were there in Mooresville racing with their kids. You just meet them from all over the world. It's the craziest thing you ever seen. But there's a national race coming up this week, so there's a lot of people coming from all over the United States gathering in Mooresville this week to race ESPKS series. It's pretty exciting. We will be going to one in Dawson, Wisconsin in about a month from now, ESPKS race. And that'll give us more time to practice with our new kart, our junior kart, and get dialed in a little bit better for a national race. I met Ryan Perry through Greg because Ryan has a tent at the racetrack and he sells nitro karts. And Greg, when he would go to the national races with his son Parker, Ryan Perry would haul his karts and all his equipment to the racetrack, and then Greg would be able to show up and go racing with his son Parker.
I think it's a great team as well. I mean, Perry's has done so much for me, and he's done a great load for Gvanni as well. I think it's a great team. It's got a great team dynamic.
Yeah. So we have a suitcase which pretty much carries all of his gear. So the kart and the engine and all that side of it, Perry is taking care of. So when we arrive, it's all set up, and we just need to fine tune because he's growing so much.
Ryan Perry through Greg because Ryan has a tent at the racetrack and he sells nitro karts. And Greg, when he would go to the national races with his son Parker, Ryan Perry would haul his karts and all his equipment to the racetrack, and then Greg would be able to show up and go racing with his son Parker. And there's usually about, I'd say 10 karts underneath the tent roughly each time we go down there. In different classes, mini Swift, junior class, X30 class. Ryan does a good job. He has trainers there. You've seen all the video machines. They can review all the tapes. He usually has pretty good mechanics around. Even though we have Rich, which helps us, and Greg helps with Gvanni's kart quite a bit. And while he's even working on his son's kart, so it's pretty busy on race weekend. But overall, there's a lot of talent that comes to Mooresville to race to get better. Because if you race against the best, you got to be the best, you got to race against the best. And a lot of people go there for that reason. Just for example, I mean, Jamie McMurray's there all the time with his son. He's a big NASCAR racer. I see Kevin Harvick there with his kids. Chad Knaus is there with his son now that's like 4 or 5 years old, which is doing pretty good. He won a race there the other day. Greg Ives, which helps us. He's big into NASCAR, works for Hendricks. He's been there for like 20 years. He's like one of the best engineers you can find in the world for working on stock cars. And he's been a great help. His wife's a great help. She comes all the races with Parker, and Gvanni gets everybody tuned up and keeps things rolling when Greg's not there. And like, for example, there's Max Pappas. You see him around there. His son races, and Max married Emerson Fittipaldi's daughter. And Emerson won the Indy 500, I think, twice, plus a Formula One championship. I mean, that's like the caliber of people that you're racing against. It's just pretty nice to see. It's kind of a neat little circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing all the people that show up there. It's crazy. We bought a street car from Jeff Gordon in 2001. Yeah, 2001, a Chevy Monte Carlo. And we were down in Charlotte to visit my sister. She lived right close to the racetrack. So we went over to Hendrick's shop, and my dad saw this car for sale in the showroom at Hendrick Motorsports, and he fell in love with it. So he had to buy it. So he bought that. And then a few weeks later, we went down there to pick it up, and it just happened to be the same weekend that Dale Earnhardt got killed. And we were supposed to meet Jeff Gordon that same day as Dale Earnhardt's funeral. I thought, man, he's never going to show up. He's going to be busy with the funeral and everything else. And you can't blame the guy. They were good friends. But he showed up. He was 5 hours late, but he came there and met us and delivered a car for us. And it was a pretty neat thing. And then I never even thought about it until this winter in January. We went to go racing go-karts in Miami. And I had to drop Gvanni off at Hendrick Motorsports. And I was thinking, man, how many years ago was it? It was like 21 or 22 years later. I'm dropping off my kid to go racing at Hendrick Motorsports with the guys from Hendricks to go to Miami. It was kind of cool. And the same buildings are still there. Still, yeah. The first thing I got to do right now, we're working on his junior car to get him dialed in there. It's kind of a big step because it's a whole different age group. And I think it's like 12 to 15-year-old kids can race those. So we're racing against some kids that have been doing it for a few years already, so we're playing catch up because they're older than him. But he's coming along really good. And each time we go, he's progressing a lot. I mean, we're running like mid-pack right now, but once we get the qualifying dialed in better, how we have to qualify, we'll be right up there with the rest of them. I know we will be. And after that, we'll probably be going into some kind of stock car, I would imagine, or GT car, some kind of Toyota or some kind of Trans Am series or something like that. I think that'll be our next step from there.
The Xfinity series or ARCA series also, so it's a good stepping stone. They produce a lot of the Sports Car Club of America Trans Am series drivers, young drivers that are racing Trans Am at 14 to 16 years old, also race a GoPro. So it's a good stepping stone. It's a good training ground. And again, you're only as good as the people you race against. And Gvanni's, be honest with you, he runs mid-pack on a regular basis, which really is an accomplishment. He's frustrated with it sometime, but to run down there mid-pack with his experience level, it's quite amazing.
I think last year or year before, the kid who won a championship was like 15 or 16 years old. It was the youngest person ever to win it. So they start pretty young. And he raced at GoPro Motorplex, same place as we raced at till he got picked up by the Trans Am Series team. Yeah.
Wow. Now, in terms of a reward for this, other than just personal reward of being able to win something like this in a competitive sport like this, what other rewards are there? Is there like financial rewards for something like this?
For us, there's not right now. We're not to that level yet. Mm-hmm. I think once you move up to the bigger karts like the X30s and race the national races, they do have payouts, and we're just not there yet. And you'd have to be picked up by a team that would pay your way to get there. I was talking to one guy, I think he said he won $5,000 in one race and $10,000 in another race, and you could probably make a small living at it, but it costs a lot to go, so you'd have to have a sponsorship to just pick up all the traveling fees and entrance fees and stuff like that. If you can finish in the top 3 to win some money. But once you get past that and get up to like the GT cars and say Indy cars, you could probably make a good living if you got the talent and the means to get that far. Straight right now is, and he's doing really good at it. We're right on the edge of starting to win. So we got to just qualify better, positions ourselves to race, to get up to the front quicker. And he's so close to clicking to get everything lined up that once it clicks here, I think we're going to start winning a lot of races. And we're going to move up from there. We're not giving up this early.
The group everybody he races against has been racing probably for 5 or 6 years. And they've got 3 or 4 years of maturity, just an age advantage on him. So for him to race at the level he's racing at, it's quite impressive.
And he gets more racing experience. We're going to move up to a car like a TA2 car or something like that. And I know he'll be able to win. I know he will. As long as he keeps at it and wants to keep doing it, we're going to keep chasing it.